Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live on News Up here at Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. We're live all across the world on 3news.com. You can also listen to us on our various social media handles as we're streaming now at 3FM 927 on Facebook and also at 3FM 927 on Twitter and Instagram. This is Hot Edition. Coming up this evening, we bring you the latest on the unfolding story of Cecilia Abnadapa and the special prosecutor. What we're learning today as we speak is that the special prosecutor has issued a lifestyle audit to be conducted on Cecilia Abnadapa to authenticate exactly where the source of the money is and exactly how she finances the lifestyle that's captured so far. What we do know is the huge sums of money that we know had been stolen by her two house helps plus the jewelries worth thousands of dollars. That's the focus of this lifestyle audit. What we're learning that the special prosecutor has issued a lifestyle audit form for. We understand that she has been instructed to fill this lifestyle audit to be able to authenticate exactly what the details of the source of her wealth is. Stay with me. We'll get into the details of that shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Plus, we have the updates as well from the happenings at the Adisadel College, where the students in the video that has gone viral, and if you haven't seen it yet, as we go on this evening here on Hot Edition, we'll play it on our Facebook page, a blurred aspect of it because some portions of the said video are quite graphical. What we understand is that the punishment of these persons, the students in there, according to a psychologist, must not terminate the education of the perpetrator. Shortly, we'll be connecting with some persons on this matter here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Join us with your thoughts and views and comments here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. What we do know as well, we'll get the latest in business and sports coming up shortly. But it's on 5 minutes after 5 here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Remember, we're also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Ocansey. Welcome. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Now, let's get into the details now. The fresh news we're learning is that the Attorney General, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, has taken interest in former Sanitation Minister stolen money case. Now, the former minister, we as we do rightly know now, who resigned from her office after this particular issue became public, and then also the special prosecutor stepping in. Questions have been raised as to why this case, the docket of this case, has been referred to the Attorney General. Let's get onto the telephone now. The Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Ocansey, is joining us on the telephone. Ocansey, thank you so much for joining us on Hot Edition.
Yeah, welcome, my brother.
Great. So, first of all, why is the docket of this case of the former minister, the stolen cash and other items case at the Attorney General? Why do you have that docket?
All right, thank you very much. Now, it is a settled practice and also in accordance with law that the police do prosecute cases on behalf of the Attorney General. They arrest, they investigate, and do the prosecution, however, on behalf of the Attorney General. So the Attorney General reserves the right to call for any docket for study and advice. And the police also, most of the times, after they have conducted their investigations, refer dockets to the AGs for AG to go through and render advice before they proceed with prosecutions or not to prosecute. So this is one of the cases in view of the interest generated by the public in this particular matter, and also considering the issues involved. The police have forwarded the docket to the AG's office for us to go through the docket and offer advice to them moving forward.
So in instances like this, I mean, what kind of advice are you going to be offering, especially because, one, if you consider the concerns some have raised that, look, this is a very politically heightened issue. I mean, with respect to the former sanitation minister and how things are playing out. And the attorney general is also the appointee of the president. And so, really, you getting involved raises that concern about how this could influence the outcome of this particular case. Mr. Choyeba, would you agree with that?
I disagree with that position.
Why is that?
Now, some people have been arrested, and those people are appearing before a court, and they're also being prosecuted by the police. The police do the prosecution on behalf of the Attorney General. Now, there's no person who is politically exposed who has been arrested and being prosecuted in this particular matter, if anything at all. There is someone who may be politically exposed, who is rather the complainant. So the attorney is going to review the docket to see whether there's any basis for the prosecution, or to see whether more charges or some of the charges may have to be taken from what we have now. So depending on what we have on record. So this is a situation whereby the Attorney General is going to look at a situation where someone within the government is to be prosecuted. That is not because now the other citizens who have been arrested, they are the people that we have to review the docket to see whether there's any basis to do the prosecution, or and how we should do the prosecution and where we should do the prosecution.
I see. So your interest in this matter does not go into Cecilia Dapa's case and questions about the source of her $1 million and the others that were stolen. You are not getting into that.
We do not know the extent of investigations done by the police in connection with the source of those amounts. But we are aware that another statutory body, the OSP, is also investigating into other matters in connection with the matter. So we will not definitely go a situation where we may want to be in conflict with the OSP. So the OSP has its mandate investigating the source of that particular money and the lifestyle audit, etc., etc. We are also looking at what the police have done so far to see whether what the police did is something that we can use in prosecuting the case or not to prosecute.
Okay, so if you say in prosecuting the case, that you're talking about in the prosecution of Patience Boche, Sarah J, and the three others who are accused in this case?
Yes, they are the accused persons in this particular case.
Okay, so that's what you're going to give the advice to the police on?
That is what we are supposed to do, based on the investigations done by the police. If, of course, we have evidence on the docket to the effect that other persons may have to be charged, we also go ahead and do so.
Okay, so then if there, in the course of your investigations or the police investigations, they also captured in there that there is a need to look into the question about the source of the $1 million and others that were stolen. Is it an issue that the Attorney General will take interest in as well?
Why not? If the police, per the docket, are of the opinion that we need to do more investigations, we encourage them to do it, because we must get to the bottom of issues that we think we need to look at. But as I said, there is another institution looking into another aspect of the matter. So we need to also make sure that we do not interfere with, or we do not in a way do something that will also affect the other institution also working. But if there's a need for us to also look at it again, the police will have to do it, and they will do it.
In fact, the reason why I ask you this question is that yesterday I had a conversation with some criminologists who made the point that the police should have actually been the first to start this investigation into this case, even before the special prosecutor stepped in, because one, they were clothed with with the details first hand of this particular case. So even before the special prosecutor steps in to talk about, getting to know the source of this $1 million, it should have been of concern to the Ghana Police Service.
So far, we have not gone through everything on the docket. We do not know all the things that the police have done in this particular matter. But you may be right. The police, they know their remit. And if there's a need to do any investigations in the case, we trust them. They will definitely do it. If you don't know how far they've gone, we are now reviewing the docket. So it depends on what they've done. We can know whether actually did the right thing or not.
I appreciate your time on this and the clarity. So now we do know that the focus is on the charge sheet as we speak, the 5 persons who are standing trial, and that's going to be the basis for your advice to the police, at least for now.
For now, but if there is any other information that will warrant that other people should also be charged, we will look at it. Before
I let you go, Mr. Chair, so we understand that you've initiated some steps to prosecute the students of Adisade College, seen in the viral video, choking and abusing their colleague. Can you give us a bit more on this? What exactly the steps that you've initiated?
Yes, that is also true. We tasked our officer in the Central Unit Cape Coast to work on that particular case and submit her findings or the docket to the office for advice and action. So our office in Cape Coast has taken a step. We are waiting for them to bring the docket, go through it, render advice, and see the way forward.
So what could be the possible outcomes in this? Are you going to have some charges filed in court against the perpetrator?
If there is evidence available on the docket upon its submission, then we will have to charge those who are supposed to be charged.
Is there a precedence of this case of assault that will give us an idea of how things are going to play out?
I have not cited a precedent, but definitely should be, because assault is assault. Causing harm is causing harm, whether you commit it in an institution or outside an institution. So it matters not where it happens.
Mr. Chair, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Alfred Chayeboa is Deputy Attorney General there here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, some 15 minutes after 5 exclusively. You've just heard the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Chayeboa, there, and talking about 2 things. What we're learning earlier is that the Attorney General has taken an interest in this Cecilia Dapa case. The former minister, should merely be aware, resigned from her position on Saturday, July 22, after reports emerged that she had stashed huge sums of money in her home, part of which had been stolen by those 2 house helps who are now facing prosecution alongside other accomplices. Now, according to the charge sheet, which we have a copy of, the pair, 18-year-old Patience Boche and 30-year-old Sarah J, have allegedly stolen $1 million, 300,000 euros, and millions of Ghana cedis between July and October 2022. Questions were raised as to why the Attorney General is getting into this. Now, you've just heard Deputy Attorney General saying they are only looking into the case relating to the theft that involves Patience, Sarah, and the 3 other accomplices. If further investigations demand that they should bring other persons into the fore to ask questions of them, they will do that. But for now, their focus is on these 5 persons on the charge sheet. Lawyer Matic Bebo is joining us on the telephone, private legal practitioner. Thank you so much, Lawyer Matic Bebo, for your time on Hot Edition. So, is this normal practice that the Attorney General will step into cases like this? And as it were, what we're learning from the Deputy Attorney General is that they're going to offer advice to the police on this matter. Hello, lawyer. Hello?
Okay, hello.
Yes, lawyer, I can hear you now.
Yes. So, Mr. Ocansey, yes, going by the Constitution, this kind of investigation investigations for the police, yes, by our law, usually the police will investigate, but also by convention, because the Attorney General is the number 1 law enforcement officer, and usually he gives police powers to prosecute certain cases on behalf of the Attorney General. If the Attorney General asks the police to investigate a case, they also cooperate. So it's not unusual. And in other fact, you remember in the time of President Kufuor, these cases that were done against Ibrahim Adam, Kwame Pepra, etc., who were former ministers of state. Those cases were prosecuted by the Attorney General at the time. I mean, when I say even if not himself specifically in his office. So for the Attorney General to be interested in a matter involving the minister, it's not new. Actually, what happened was that subsequently, after the Ibrahim Adam cases and the rest, we all realized, even as of that time, we had been talking about getting an independent special prosecutor, etc., so that the matter of conflict where a certain Attorney General doesn't want to prosecute his colleague ministers will be taken care of, right? Yes, but if we've created office of the special prosecutor and a certain Attorney General thinks that he wants to come into a matter, yeah, it's okay. And remember, I always try to say that it's even good we have multiple institutions being interested in this matter, so that in the event that one institution fails to see something or cover a certain angle of the investigation, chances are that the other one will see it. And also, it's also likely that once there's competition among them, the chances that they will bury any information will be less, because if, Mr. Ocansey, two of us have been assigned to do something similar, as I'm doing it, I know that, look, there's a competitor, Mr. Ocansey is also working on it. So ordinarily, I would want to do better than you. So if I see something this incriminating, etc., my motivation to bury that evidence will be less, because I know that if I bury, maybe you will uncover, you will disclose, and I'll look bad. So multiple institutions investigating may help to create a situation of there being a check on each other. So it's okay, it's welcome. And I like this famous example that Donald Trump, the issue of his election, when Russians were said to have interfered in American politics. There are so many institutions that investigated it in the U.S. I think about 17 or so, different organizations and institutions. So let's also take a leaf from the American experience.
Great. Now, the other thing that we're learning now is that there's been a lifestyle audit that has been initiated into Cecilia Dapa's lifestyle by the special prosecutor to authenticate how she finances her lifestyle, especially because of the items we understand and the value of these items that were stolen, the jewelry and all sorts, the perfumes, the handbags that cost thousands of dollars. How does this lifestyle audit work, Lawyer Martin Pebu?
Okay, so each basis, number one, the Article 286, Clause 4 of the Constitution, which says that if a public officer is found to be possession of property that is not reasonably attributable to that public officer's income, loan, inheritance, etc., then that property is deemed to have been unlawfully acquired. That's the unexplained wealth. So that's the basis for it. Then moving forward, so the legislation provides that this will be done. That is to say, to do the lifestyle audit. It's not new. Even in the GRA, so it's been part of the laws that GRA sees your lifestyle, you are driving big car, big stuff you do in life, and yet you say your salary is just 1,000 Ghana or so, they could call you in. Yes, these are laws. So this lifestyle, it's not new. It's been in our laws for decades. Yeah, you ask the GRA people, it's always been in the tax laws. And now we've also put it in the special prosecutor's own. Of course, but the special prosecutor is likely to enforce it and use it more often than GRA. But that's been it. So they will ask you, yes, and list all the your sources of income. You see that form. When you read the OSP law, they say Form 12. I don't have a copy near me here, but you'll be asked to name all your sources of income, And then if you have flashy cars, you have stuff, you explain how you those sources of income have financed your lifestyle. Yes, those jewelry, those stuff that you have, all the flashy things, etc. So it's like a balance sheet, the debits and the credits. We have to show the left and the right. How did you acquire all these things, right? With what income? That's it basically. It's a complete form that the OSC asks you to fill in. It's Form 12 in the LI 2374. Yes.
Fantastic. But in terms of verification and authenticating the details of the lifestyle audit form, how is that done? I mean, because for instance, we know the asset declaration law, the appointees will just declare their assets. Authenticating the details of that asset declaration form, in most cases, is never done. So in this lifestyle audit, will the special prosecutor go beyond what Cecilia Adapa will put on the form to authenticate that indeed what she's put there is actually the truth and the right reflection of her state?
Yes, it follows naturally, because once the special prosecutor is investigating, that is what will happen. Meaning, they would have to check. So, you see, they went to do the search, right? So, having gone to do the search, they saw some stuff. So, if Madame Dapa writes X, Y, Z, let's say, for example, and then it doesn't tell if the special prosecutor, his officers saw the OSC saw there, they would ask, how about this? How about that? Yes. So it just follows naturally. Right? It doesn't tally. They will ask questions. There will be more questions. Yes. So that, because remember that what happens is that the OSC is investigating possible offenses. So they'll be trying to cover all the angles. So as long as something is seen there, okay, so let's say a specific property. I mean, when I say property, it doesn't have to be a building. Maybe more jewelry or any other stuff, but it's not being indicated on the forms. Naturally, the investigators would ask, how about this thing that we saw in your house? It's not here. Or maybe we saw a boys' quarters. It's 3 bedrooms, but you haven't indicated. You just say the house is a 5-bedroom house, etc. So in the natural scheme of things, they would ask. Or there will be questions on all those stuff.
Great. Quickly, before I let you go, what do you support the calls for a lifestyle audit for ministers and other government appointees and civil servants because of what's happening now?
Yes, that's already in the offering. When I say offering, that's in the Conduct of Public Officers Bill. Yes, so this is what we mentioned. This time, we are going to a new dispensation. Not of we are going back to the old dispensation where the asset declaration will be published. So under the PNDC, when you declared your assets, they were published. And you could go to Assembly Press. Even today, if you go, they will still have copies of some of the PNDC appointees who declared their assets. So under the new law, these things are going to be published. So what the yes I'm saying means that practically citizens will see what has been published. And so if they find that what has been published doesn't tally with your life, yes, of course, there will be reports. So practically, as soon as under the new law, the law that President Kufuor was running from, and fortunately for us, the IMF has made a conditionality in the IMF deal, they're saying that the assets will be published, right? And so that will give citizens access to be able to constantly monitor and be able to tell that, hey, Mr. X, I've seen he's listed 3 houses, but I see him going to 5 different houses or 6, etc. So it's the right call. As for lifestyle, it will be a continuous process, not just limited to certain times. And then also, yes, we have been advocating. So more specific to your side, the one you are looking at, that at the time they are exiting, we've been calling for this amendment. At the time every minister of public officer of the grade mentioned in the law is exiting, it should be made to appear before Shraj and explain the new assets that public officer has since acquired. That one too is in our history. The Giage Commission, Kwame Nkrumah's appointees, were made to appear before the Giage Commission, and those who couldn't justify the assets they had acquired whilst in office lost those assets. The assets were confiscated. So I support the call that there would be lifestyle audits, but the form in which it takes is one, by the publication of the assets. Then it means that citizens will also be playing a watchdog role. So that if they see anything, then they'll go and report to OSP or go to Shraj. Then number two, we want a specific amendment that when to the bill, as I said, the bill that the IMF is saying they should pass, it's not 100% perfect, but they should open it up for last minute, suggestions and further proposals, so that, as I've always said, we should make it like the Giage Commission. Every appointee, at the time he's exiting, then he will appear before the Shraj or OSC and to justify the other assets he has since acquired, since filling the declaration form. So I think that's what we should be pushing for.
Very detailed analysis there. I appreciate your time, Lawyer Martin Pebo. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner, giving us details and some education on this, the lifestyle audit that we understand the special prosecutor has instructed Cecilia Dapa to be subjected to or go through to be able to authenticate the source of wealth of her lifestyle. We understand the focus is because of these, the value of the handbags, the perfume, the jewelry, the kente cloth, and all the other items that were reported to have been stolen by her house helps. But anti-graft campaigners are advocating the need to have government pass the Public Officers Code of Conduct bill following revelations. More cash has been discovered in the home of Cecilia Dapa. The special prosecutor is continuing investigations into the former minister after her home was searched late into the night yesterday. The details of the ongoing investigation by the Office of Special Prosecutor into former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapa only officially started yesterday, but the details already make for interesting conversation. Co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, Adam Senanu, argues the revelations in the ongoing investigation makes it imperative for the Public Officers Code of Conduct to be passed.
Oh, yes. If your report is from the OSP and they are indicating that they were counting for 5 hours, then clearly, as we all were quick to point out, you had to have much more money there for anybody to expect to steal $1 million and get away with it. That's the logic. Nobody goes stealing. If you have a pouch of money, nobody will go and take all the, if it's 1,000 Ghana, take all the 1,000. Usually the petty thefts who are in the home will pick some, hoping that you will not notice. So I'm not too surprised that they have found much more money. That was part of the logic, that they must have taken part of a huge sum. But to count for 5 hours, I can only wonder how much exactly we are talking about here. I think that this highlights for us the importance of passing the Public Officers Code of Conduct bill. All of us, media, civil society, need to demand that this that has been sitting before cabinet should be passed urgently, because within it there are stronger, clauses demanding and requiring public officers to ensure that they don't get themselves engaged in things like this, and it's more obvious. The lifestyle audit is an important thing, but I think the preventive actions that are sought by the Public Officers Code of Conduct, we need to demand that that is put in place now. In addition, I have a suspicion that this probably is much more to do with party financing than just the individual. In my mind, I think, look, we better resolve the political party financing thing also in terms of legislation. because it is likely, and they themselves have said it, that usually for emergencies, exigencies, they have people who have money that is supposed to be deployed at an instant. And the kind of monies we are talking about, I would strongly suspect that maybe we are going beyond the individual to a bigger issue. And so we should talk about the Public Officers Code of Conduct Bill. We should also talk about political party financing, because ultimately that is where the problem begins. As they campaign and they spend money through it here and there, by the time they come, they find ways to make that money back, and you will have situations like this.
Right. There's the debate or the other leg of how much this has to do with asset declaration, because from checks, it appears the former minister declared her assets thoroughly in the past. Now that is appearing to be defective in being able to check some of these things. And if there's anything to go by, I know that the Tema West MP, for instance, in subsequent commentary in relation to this, has sought to allude that this is a practice that is very well adopted by all of our top politicians.
Yes, it is the reason why, and perhaps I didn't break it down. Two things. One, there's the unexplained wealth clause, where in the Public Officers Code of Conduct, you would have a clause saying that at any time that there is unexplained wealth, one would be subject to questioning, etc., because the idea is that not just the assets, because that can cover a certain number of things, but also is the currency, money that one cannot say or attribute to your regular income. And you cannot give, if you can't provide a legitimate business you are doing, which is not taking office hours, and yet you can earn this money. The current asset declaration only covers some aspects. It doesn't go to the extent of unexplained wealth, which is what Occupy Ghana is also trying to point out. It is the reason why passing this law, that is an enhanced version, is so important. Now, our asset declaration is already deficient to the extent that you are not required to make what it is you are putting on paper public. So it is only the staff of the Auditor General who have opportunity to open and look at it. That is limited in scope, because if you have 32 million or 35 million Ghanaians who can go online and check and say that, no, you came to my area and you bought a land, or I know you have a house in my corner, or I'm the person you negotiated to buy this car. They can all go and check and see whether the cars you bought, the lands you bought, the property you have, the money in the bank, but we don't have that.
As Adam Sadan, who is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, speaking to my colleague Eric Moyonek Batalia on Media Live here on 3FM 92.7. But President Akufo-Addo has appointed the Minister of State at the Presidency and Member of Parliament for the Tano North constituency, Frida Prempe, as the Substantive Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. She takes over from Cecilia Abnadapa, whose letter of resignation dated Saturday, 22nd of July, 2023, was accepted by the President same day. President Akufo-Addo, in consultation with the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration and Roads and Highways, respectively, has also appointed the Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways, a Member of Parliament for the Efija-Sechere East constituency, Mavis Nkansa Boedu, as Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, and the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. So, a Member of Parliament for Tatale Sanguli constituency, that's Thomas Mbomba, has also now been appointed as Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways. So there's been some reshuffle and then also substantive appointments made as we speak. So this is a statement from the Presidency, which came through not too long ago, and these appointments we understand take effect immediately. That's a statement issued by the Director of Communications of the Presidency, UGIN, earlier today. So that's the news coming in from the Presidency. President Akufo-Addo has appointed the Minister of State at the Presidency and Member of Parliament for Tano North constituency, Frida Prempe, as the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. She takes over from Cecilia Abnadapa, whose letter of resignation, we do know, was accepted by the President on Saturday, the 22nd of July. President Akufo-Addo, also in consultation with the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration and Roads and Highways Ministries, respectively, has appointed the Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways and MP for Ifija Secretary East, Mavis Nkansa Buedu, as Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, and the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Member of Parliament for Tatale, Thomas Mbomba, has now also been appointed as Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways. So there's just been a switch in the roles of these two persons. That's the news that's coming through from the presidency. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live as well on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Lots of you commenting on the issues that we've been talking about so far here on Hot Edition on 3FM and 92.7. We have eyes on what's happening at the Adisada College, because three pre-tertiary education unions, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, CCT, have urged the Ghana Education Service to speed up investigations, describing the incident as barbaric. Management of the school has directed the house master to step aside. The Ghana Education Service has also already begun investigations into the matter, and as you just heard, the Deputy Attorney General exclusively here on Hot Edition saying they have also taken interest. The Attorney General's Department has taken interest in this matter, and the Central Regional Office of the AG is working and looking into this as well. The leadership of the teacher unions have expressed anger at the incident. They've described as barbaric and proposed a severe punishment for the students involved. And before we just get a brief report on what happened, this is the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, CCT, Ken Ali Awudu, president of the CCT, speaking about this.
The parents or the relatives of the boy that was bullied may end up taking physical assault against the boy that did the bullying. So by suspending the boy is being protected. So now the boy has left the school environment. So assuming relatives of the boy that was bullied, put themselves together and decide to come into the school for something like a mob action, the boy is not there. So suspension of the boy, one, is in the right direction, and then two is to protect the life of the boy himself. And then what GES is about to do next is to investigate the matter. Sometimes people will say that it is obvious that the boy have done it. What are you going to investigate? By a democratic dispensation, that is what happened. That is why even if the police arrest somebody in an act of murder or in an act of armed robbery, you are still a suspect. It will be investigated until you are proven guilty by a competent court of jurisdiction. So I will ask the general public to calm down. GES is investigating the matter, and we know that at the end of the day, the verdict that will come out is not only going to be for the Adisada College, but it is going to serve as a deterrent enough to prevent such things from happening in any of our schools.
So in this case, I want to read what the management of the school is saying, that they have said that those who are involved are likely to come from home and write their WAEC exams, and they will also be punished internally. Do you think the punishment should be severe enough?
First of all, you should be deboardernized. That is true, and that is fine, because if you are not in the boarding house, you wouldn't have the opportunity to do what you did. So if those involved are going to be deboardernized, that is fine. They are not supposed to take phones to school. Somebody recorded the thing in the dormitory and spread it. That one too, authorities may investigate as to who is involved and all that, all those things.
So that's Ken Ali Awudu, is the president of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, CCT. But the president of the Psychiatric Association of Ghana, Dr. Ruth Owusu-Enchi, is saying disciplinary action to be handed to the student recorded in the viral video bullying his junior must not be such that it hinders him from continuing his schooling. What we do know now is that he's been deboardernized, and he's a final year student and expected to write the WASI from home. In fact, he's going to be writing the WASI here in Accra instead of Cape Coast, where the Adisada College is. But this is a background to the story and how all of this happened.
Oh! Okay. Hey,
it's an issue that has taken social media by storm. A viral video of a student of Adisada College abusing another. The incident, which happened on June 30, 2023, shows the student placing significant pressure on the neck of the victim and subsequently hitting his head against a metal bunk bed. This has raised questions about the extent of bullying that continues to occur in schools, as well as whether or not crowding and the lack of discipline in schools play a significant role. Hours after the incident went viral, the Ghana Education Service in a press release indicated that the management of the service was deeply concerned and condemned the act, describing it as barbaric. Currently, a number of sanctions have been meted out to the culprit, housemaster, victim, and students who witnessed the incident without intervening. The culprit faces outright dismissal, while others face different forms of suspensions. Reacting to the sanctions, Director of Child Rights International, Bright Appiah, suggests a review for both the culprit and the victim of the incident.
I find it very unfortunate. Even in an event where a child has committed offense, the law recognizes that certain right must be given to the child. So you just not throw the child into society to go and continue that kind of act, but you try to carry out rehabilitation programs to ascertain the reasons. Right. And when you come to the victim, you know, a child has gone through such issue, and the only thing that the school can do is to let both of them go home. They have separate needs psychologically that you have to work on to be able to come to a certain conclusion. But we didn't see that, and we expect that Ghana Education Service would reverse that decision, subject the children to what we call the investigation and then to obtain the social inquiry report, and it's on the basis of that we can determine what next the action will be.
Attorney General Godfrey Dame has since directed the suspect in the case be arraigned before court by Friday, July 28. This follows the transfer of students involved in the assault, along with some staff, to the Greater Accra Regional Directorate of the Ghana Education Service after the Central Regional Minister and Central Regional Police Commander stormed the school.
That's Judith Awachitando there with the background to the story. In fact, the video, which you heard the audio version of it on radio, you can go on our Facebook page at 3FM927. Some of it quite graphical, so we've had to blur parts of it. But if you're on our Facebook page at 3FM927 right now, you see the video of this bullying that has resulted in the suspension of the said student. And we understand that Nanekia, the victim involved, has also been suspended for failing to report the issue when it happened. And that's where psychologists are asking parents to also interact with their children and observe and to know whether they are being bullied or not, even if their words don't tell them that is what's happening in the schools. It's time for business. You're watching the video, Nanekia. It's quite unfortunate.
I get mixed feelings when I look at the video. I get angry and I get worried also. Angry for whatever might have caused this to begin in the first place, and worried because of what happened to the victim, if I should say. It's quite worrying there. And we hope something good comes out of it.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Let's get into business, shall we?
Right. So yesterday I was discussing with you on the fact that today was the big day for the mid-year budget, which has been postponed again. Different date coming out. So the Ministry of Finance has once again postponed the reading, which was slated for today. The budget reading was supposed to be delivered Tuesday today. After the ministry reviewed its July 27 date, it has now been slated for Monday, July 31. So we expect the finance minister on the floor of parliament to address the house with a statement, we are told, from our parliamentary correspondent, and the presentation is in accordance with the provisions of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921. So I'll be telling you some more expectations in our subsequent days from now till Monday. But let's discuss coffee. And the Coffee Federation of Ghana says the country stands to benefit from a lot of foreign exchange if it gives the crop the needed attention. According to the president of the association, Dr. Nathaniel Nsako, Ghana has over the years lost out on the multi-billion-dollar industry, and now is the time to review policies to its advantage. He was speaking to the media on the sidelines of the launch of a baseline study on coffee production in Ghana.
As a country, like I indicated, we've been sleeping, because when you look at what coffee contributes globally, it's a foreign earner that contributes about 126 billion USD. When you compare to cocoa gives you just around 47 billion annually. So compare the two. Which one gives you value? When you compare the two, you see that cocoa doesn't come anywhere near coffee when it comes to foreign exchange. And yet, as a country, we have the arable land, we have the youth, we have everything that can help us to get coffee. To the extent that even the lands that have been degraded and destroyed by the illegal mining can be reclaimed to produce coffee. The Robusta coffee can do well on those lands. Other crops wouldn't do well, but the Robusta coffee can do well and help us to even revive and rehabilitate such lands. And then it will end up giving us foreign exchange. And yet, as a country, we don't get our politicians thinking like this.
And that was the president of the association, that is the Coffee Federation of Ghana, Dr. Nathaniel Nsako, still talking about issues related to food production. The executive director of the Peasant Farmers Association, Dr. Charles Nyaba, has warned many more countries are likely to cut food exports to curb rising global food inflation. India, which contributes about 40% of world rice supply, has banned exports to its non-basmati white rice, which experts believe could lead to hikes in global rice prices. However, Dr. Nyaba believes Ghana has no cause to worry about the situation when it has all the conditions to be the net exporter of the global staple.
India is not the only country that is protecting its domestic consumers. Last week, President Tinubu of Nigeria also announced state of emergency on food security and then ban importation of most of the food that the locals are producing, giving out fertilizer for free, giving seeds for free, for farmers to be able to produce enough for domestic consumption. All is to curb inflation. And what's the inflation rate in Nigeria? It's just 25%. Ghana have no business to even complain about increase in rice prices globally, because we have all what it takes to produce for domestic consumption and for export. Yet, we import about 60% of our rice that we consume.
Dr. Charles Nyaba is Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association. Just before we go, despite increasing interest in Ghanaian airline operations, many applicants face challenges in obtaining licenses due to operational costs and technological expertise. The stringent requirements and rigorous evaluations by the regulatory authorities have also posed significant hurdles for those seeking to establish new carriers.
A lot knock on our doors. Maybe they have the money, but then when they come and then you spell out the rudiments of the game, they just fizzle out. You need certain caliber of personnel. It's not anybody at all who can take on the position of director of maintenance in an airline or director of flight operations. But director of operations must be a pilot with some number of hours, with some kind of administrative experience in order to hold that position.
And that's it for the business news on Hot Edition. Remember, when you log on to 3news.com, we have more business news updates. My name is Nana Ikuya Mensah Abrampa. Ori Kwampofo is standing by with sports. Good evening.
Well, good evening, and thank you very much, Nana Ikuya, for bringing us the latest in the world of business. Let's now switch focus to sports, where with less than a month to go for the World Athletics Championships, Bawa Fuseni, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Athletics Association, has revealed that Ghanaian high jumper Abigail Kwarteng is on the verge of qualifying for the meet in Hungary later this year. Kwarteng's record this year is enough to get her into the championships, but she will need to wait till the deadline on July 30 for confirmation.
And if we are lucky, Abigail Kwarteng is picked by the World Athletics because he's ranked very high. if the deadline were to be today, she will be part of the World Championship. So we're just waiting till the 30th of July, where the World Athletic will publish the names of those who have qualified and those who are qualified by ranking or by performance. And she's currently qualified by ranking. So now we cannot say 100%.
Well, that was Bawa Hussein, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Athletics Association. There's a full story on the preparation of Team Ghana ahead of the championships much later tonight on TV3 during the sports segment on News 360. So you do want to tune in at 7:40. But let's do more here and talk about football, because last week Ghana Premier League clubs released their home stadiums for the upcoming season. With the new top flight set to kick off in September, the Club Licensing Board of the Ghana Football Association has scheduled the inspection of the various stadiums on August 14. This inspection includes all leagues in the country. That's the Ghana Premier League, the Division 1, Division 2, and then the Women's Premier League. However, this year there will be a new criteria according to the Club Licensing Board.
Pitch quality is a zero tolerance for us. It has to be quality, artificial or natural. It has to be quality. Inner perimeter fencing, a tunnel connecting to a befitting dressing room that can accommodate more than 30 people with the necessary furnishing. Of course, as well as washrooms, and then the toilets, as well as a dedicated place for the referees and officials. Then
Well, that was Julius Emuna, who is the Public Relations Officer of the Club Licensing Board. He then goes on to make the assertion that clubs who end up changing venue could see their results being affected throughout the course of the season.
Obviously, I mean, it's very clear. I mean, no one wants to take away the fact that the support base forms the 12th man of the club on the field of play during your match days. And for our wish, we wish that every club plays at their home, because the ambience is important to the beauty of the game. I mean, playing away from, let me give you a typical example. I mean, to bus fans from or down to Cape Coast to play a match as Kotoku Royals, apart from the financial constraint, there won't be that ambience that you require. So we always wish that every club is able to play at their match.
Well, before we go, let's just touch on some European football, because Ilkay Gundogan has opened up on the reason why he left Manchester City to join Barcelona this summer. The German who captained Pep Guardiola's men to a historic treble and ended up deciding against renewing his contract with the Citizens at the end of the season. Instead, he signed a new 2-year deal with the La Liga champions, and that has an option for him to extend at the end of the contract.
I guess this is my interpretation a little bit, that he was maybe also a little bit happy that I'm joining his childhood club, you know, the club that he loves incredibly much and that he's proud of. So he just wished me all the best, you know, for the future. That of course he's gonna watch, you know, the games, and he's still a big fan of Barca. Of course, I'm very motivated. I think it gives me the opportunity to be a part of, you know, the rising again in European club football, and to be a part of that. I think is what every footballer wants in the world. And even though the last years in Europe were maybe behind the expectations, I think, especially, you know, with the new coach, you can see that the club is building something, you know, and that there's a plan behind everything.
Well, that was Ilkay Gundogan, who's Barcelona's new signing. He would probably be taking part in the preseason friendlies that they have scheduled. 3 more games for Xavi's men to go before the actual season kicks off. Remember, they're also on the tour in the United States of America. My name is Uri Kwampofo, and that's how we wrap up the sports segment here on Hot Edition. Up next on the Bulletin is entertainment with Akofa.
Thank you very much. much, Oriku, for that one. Coming up on the entertainment news segment here on Hot Edition, Lynx Entertainment Shiny Kasa has opened up about his switch from gospel to Afrobeat. Sam Oladotun, as he was referred to, was a gospel artist signed onto the label some years ago. In an interview on TV3 New Day to promote his new single, Your Waste, Kasa noted that the switch was in a quest to find his true self and sound, which he believes he is pursuing now.
Why the switch though?
Personally, it was a personal thing, and aside everything going on, I felt like it was about time I stopped thinking about what people would say and how people were going to react about whatever decision I make. For the first time, I sat down, took a lot of time. It took me almost 2 years actually to, make this decision, even with the name and everything. Yeah, it took me almost 2 years to like sit back and say, no, I want this for myself. And I spoke to, the most important people in my life, and they all agreed with me. And yeah.
So does this go to say that, while you were doing the gospel, you didn't feel fulfilled to an extent?
Well, I don't feel like that was the point. I just felt like I could do more. I could do more. I could do something else. I could do a love song, and things. So.
Oh, wow. And this has been endorsed by Lynx Entertainment.
Yes.
How was it like working with them? When were you even signed? Yes. Was he part of the other ones who came at the other day?
He was there before.
Oh, he was, right?
He was before.
Maya Blue. Yeah, Maya Blue and all.
So, okay, at that time, I was, busy preparing myself. And that includes, finding the name, finding the genre, writing songs, knowing where my strengths was and everything. It was basically like discovering like myself for myself, not having to, people let people tell me that, oh, I think you are good in this, I think you are good in this. For the first time, I wanted to know what I am good, in
As
the area.
Yourself.
Yeah.
You wanted to be sure of yourself.
Yeah, I wanted to be sure of myself.
So would you say you are there now? You're very sure?
Yeah, I am.
Do you
think you've had to prove yourself, especially with a switch, for people to believe that, okay, this is actually what you wanted to do? Do you think it's like a little bit more extra work now?
I don't think it's a little bit more extra work. I feel like it comes easily. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why.
Even easier now.
Yeah. So it comes easily, and I write a lot.
And you had Lynx Entertainment Shiny Kasa there, and to some other stories. Cruise People Limited, the company in the ongoing contractual dispute with Ghanaian musician Black Sheriff, has officially filed a lawsuit against him for alleged breach of contract. The suit, which was filed at the High Court, claims that the artist failed to honor the agreement between the two parties, resulting in the cancellation of the Afro Cruise Jam concert, for which he had been scheduled to perform in August. As part of the lawsuit, Cruise People Limited is seeking the return of the $20,000 booking fee, as well as $18,000 to cover the lost cabin booking cost. They are also demanding interest on the $20,000 from April 18, 2023 until the date of the final payment. Additionally, the organizers are seeking $50,000 in lost profits resulting from the alleged breach of contract and 65,000 Ghana cedis, which was paid to the multimedia group with the sole purpose of advertising the video clip of Black Sheriff, amongst other reliefs. And that ends the entertainment news segment on Hot Edition, powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Zakofa. I'd like to say a very big thank you for joining us on behalf of Alfred and the entire production team. We say thank you for joining us. We're on every Monday to Thursday right here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Zakofa. Log on to 3news.com for more stories. Alfred?
Yes. You're back at 8 o'clock.
I am back with Wind Down, and I'll be seeing you later on TV.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. I understand we have a replacement for Cecilia Dapa.
Yeah, that's right.
You touch on that.
Reshuffles, yeah.
Okay.
And a lot more. The amended Criminal and Other Offences Act has been passed, so now the death penalty is no more in the books.
Oh, yeah. I think there was a conversation some time back like that.
So yeah, that's been passed by Parliament. It's been approved.
I see.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
Well, there's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. On behalf of the rest of the team, we appreciate your company. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a great evening. The drive continues.